Welcome to Justeventonline News Update. I am Rukoya Shito. With me is
Anifat Ismail.
First the news headline. Twitter set to open Nigerian office in 2022, says federal government.
Nobody will be treated unjustly. Kwara Governor assures Igbaja residents.
Federal government reintroduced toll plazas. Nigerian to pay 500 naira, 200 naira per trip.
International Youth Day. BBDYI 6th Annual International Youth Day Summit holds.
Federal government to consider lockdown for Delta variant.
And on sport Eagles drop in latest FIFA ranking.
Now the news in details. The federal government has said that the social networking site Twitter has agreed to open operation office in Nigeria in 2022. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed this on Wednesday while answering questions from the State House correspondent after a meeting of the Federal Executive Council presided over by the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Lai Mohammed said that the over 2-month ban on the social networking site will soon be lifted as it has reached an agreement with the Twitter in most areas of misunderstandings. He added that it is to credit the Twitter that they admitted that they have never received any kind of informed communication from any country as they has received from Nigerian. He however said the condition set on Twitter is in line with the Nigerian Company and Allied Matters Act should establish a presence in the Nigerian with registration with the Corporate Affairs Commission.
Kwara State government has assured that no residents of Ogbe and Gaoke of Igbaja town, the fellow local governments of the state, will be treated unjustly for any waded into crisis with the Fulani people over mosque leadership. The government delegation led by Special Assistant to the Kwara State Governor on Religion Islamic Affairs, Alhaji Ibrahim Zubairi Damegoro, yesterday visited Ilese Palace in Igbaja for peace talk between Ogbe and Gaoke. The two Fulani towns in Igbaja, who have been harmoniously relationship for decades, are said to arrive at a loggerheads over mosque leadership. The delegation and His Royal Majesty Elese of Igbaja land, Alhaji Ahmed Babalola, met with the representatives of two communities to resolve the conflict.
The Federal Executive Council has approved the reintroduction of toll collection on some selected dual carriage across the country. These as it exempted diplomats, military, paramilitary vehicles, tricycle, motorcycle from the scheme. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola disclosed this on Wednesday while briefing the State House correspondent at the end of the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The decision was made almost 2 decades after the Olusegun Obasanjo's administration dismantled all toll plazas on federal roads across the country in 2003. Fashola said his ministry presented a memo which the council approved to reintroduce toll gates on dual carriage of the 25,000 kilometer federal roads. According to him, the road amounted to only 14.3% of the entire 35,000 kilometer stretch of federal road that were dual carriage and would be eligible for tolling, with vehicles paying between 200 naira and 500 naira toll per trip depending on their price, while military, paramilitary as well as tricycle and motorcycle would be exempted.
The Brain Builders Youth Development, a youth-based non-governmental organization, held its annual International Youth Day event for 2021. The organization, which is committed to youth development and entrepreneurship, using its platform to drive conversation to help young people thrive. In a release signed by the Executive Director of BBDYI, Abidin Olashipo, said, in the past few years, the event was organized to commemorate International Youth Day, which brings young people together to deliberate on pressing issues that concerns the community and the world at large. The theme for this year's event, which is tagged as Transforming Food Systems and Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health, they posited that in order to achieve these global objectives, young people are pivotal to success. He added that young people are needed to amplify efforts and serve as innovators contributing solutions to the international agenda.
The federal government has said that total lockdown will be the last resort in its strategy to contain the spread of Delta variant of COVID-19. Minister of Air Dr. Sage Nayo during the weekly ministerial briefing by the Presidential Communication Team in Abuja has assured Nigerians that the new variant of the virus does not pose the sort of threat that might warrant a lockdown of any form. According to him, countries have become circumspect with imposing total lockdown as it was seen at the onset of the outbreak. He added that the administration would rather employ precision lockdown on specific area of the country under threat.
And on sports, Nigeria have dropped 7 places in the FIFA rankings. The 3-time African champions maintained their position in May, which was the last time the rating was released. However, that changed this time as there were international friendlies. The Super Eagles dropped from 3rd to 5th in the continent and to the 34th spot globally, having accrued 1,480 points. Nigeria failed to win any of the 3 international games, losing twice and settling for a draw once. Globally, Belgium retained top spot, while Europe 2020 winners Italy moved up into the top 5 behind runners-up England.
We have come to the end of the news update on Justeventonline TV. Here is a recap of the story. Twitter set to open Nigerian office in 2022, says federal government.
Nobody will be treated unjustly, Kwara Gov assures Igbaja resident.
Federal government will introduce toll plazas, Nigerian to pay 500 naira to 100 naira per trip.
International Youth Day, BBDYI 6th Annual International Youth Day Summit holds.
Federal government to consider lockdown for Delta variant.
Super Eagles drop in latest FIFA ranking.
Thank you for watching Justeventonline News Update. The power of youth is the common word for the entire world. The faces of young people are the faces of our past and present, even future. No segment in the society can match with the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of the young people. Let's engage our nation youth positively. To read more of the news, visit our website www.justeventonline.com. And for more updates, follow us on our social media platform with ETA at Just Event Online. I am Rukoya Shitu, and with me,
Anifat Ismail.
Happy International Youth Day.